Right, we're live, and what's up, everyone? Kevin Allen here. I've got my man, John Alessia, aka statsational, with me, and today we're going to talk coronavirus repercussions. What should we do? What's going on? Is the world coming to an end? I don't fucking know. It's crazy. We're going to talk some stock market. We're going to talk some what we need to do to protect ourselves and our family. And we're going to talk some sports and try to figure out what's going on and what should go on. So, to get us started, I'm just going to crack myself.
Yeah.
Of course.
Nice.
Man, I had the whole thing planned out, and it's a pop top.
Yeah, I'd rather drink a bottle of the virus than that. I told you.
This was more for the prop.
I know.
Beer, but I was going to enjoy myself a beer, and now it's fucking me over. So, all right, we're going to welcome in, guys. This is a live stream, so your questions, I can see them. We're going to answer them. We're going to cover them. But I just want to start off with what we sent out today. Now, if you haven't seen the video I put out on Monday, it's only 4 days later, and it seems prophetic right now. We definitely saw that this was going to be a big deal, but I think the shock to the system for me and John, the NBA shutting down last night, Rudy Gobert testing positive. Is that just like the shock of all shocks?
I think that because he probably had it, there's no doubt he had it before that press conference when he was touching everything. Obviously, I think he already had a cold, or he thought he had a cold at least, and then touched everything. The fact that he actually had it, considering even though we don't know the full numbers, I guess we'll get into all that. But even though we haven't tested enough people to know the full numbers, the probabilities were still so low, and the fact that he acted like a moron and had it, it's just really added to the fears, that's for sure. Now that there's such an odd thing, like when celebrities get it, it's like, oh, wait a second, you mean people with money can actually get this too? Like there's some sort of when Tom Hanks has it, oh no.
That's what it is. This comment, this guy, this actually, you laugh out loud from a comment. Good one, Anthony. So yeah, I think that's the shock, but I was expecting this. Not to this extent, right? The way it was spreading in China, the way it was moving quickly, the video I saw of like the Chinese government welding doors shut to buildings to quarantine people, man, it just was different than it just was different than anything we've seen before. And people keep comparing it. I keep seeing these dumb comparisons. I just saw it on Twitter. Somebody was like, well, swine flu or H1N1 infected 61 million people and 12,000 people died. This thing's only infected X amount of people and Y amount. I'm like, are you fucking comparing?
Well, here's and I mean, neither one of us are doctors or even remotely experts in this area, but just from what I understand and from what I've read, you just can't compare any of these things because they're all, all these viruses, they're so unique and different, each individual one, and how they affect, who they affect, how they affect, what their kill rate is, the death rate, whatever you want to call it, how you contract it. It's just, so to compare anything to any one other one is just futile. So you have to kind of get the data. That's part of the problem in the markets right now as well. Is we don't have all the data, right? We don't know exactly what the numbers are. Once we start getting testing here in the United States at a level that we should be at, that's going to either subside some of the fears or add to it. But at least we'll know. The markets don't like not knowing.
You and I were on the phone earlier, and like, what's going to assuage fears, right? It's like when Rudy Gobert is like, dude, I'm fine. No big whoop. Tom Hanks comes out, is like, I got a cough. It was annoying, but I stayed home and I feel great. And then that kind of thing is going to be like, oh, okay, so this is really, it's a little scary, but okay, it's not the end of the world. What will not assuage fears is if Rudy Gobert in 2 weeks from now is dead.
Well, yeah, no,
That's not going to be good.
Again, from what I'm reading about this or listening to, and my world has been, as you know, back in the day, I would have been sitting in front of my Bloomberg terminal all day, gathering all this information, been a lot more informed, certainly with the markets and what's going on. But in the last few months here, I've been dealing with a house that I'm really close to finally finishing. So I've been kind of pushing as hard as I can to get this house on the market and sold, so I can get some cash back and be cash. Be cash.
Hopefully, you'll get that cash back in time.
Yeah.
And I just showed a quick view of a Dow chart that we're going to take a look at a little bit. You and I, John comes from the world of trading. I traded for many, many years through 2 stock market collapses. So we're going to talk about that stuff in a minute. But the first thing I want to talk about, so let's just, for the DFS Army people who are watching this, for our members, subscribers, our brothers, it's our family, right? One of the cool things about DFS Army is we have the chat. We know each other. It's different than anything I've ever been. It's a community. It's different than anything I've been a part of. And I feel an obligation and responsibility to this community to help kind of get us through what's going to be a very tough time. So the first thing we have to talk about is what we did today for members, which is bring back or we did like some technical shit with our member press people, the people who do the software that takes it. People think we charge. We use the software that does that, and we figured out a way to add a pause button to it. And what that does is, rather than just mass cancellations of your account, please don't. So we set up a pause button. Members can pause their subscriptions. And what we're going to do, and what we did, is we're going to leave Slack open. The community stays together throughout whatever is about to happen, whatever goes down. There's no NBA for a little bit. The MLB's delayed. We don't know what's going to happen with sports. And John, this is what I want to throw it over to you, and let's talk about probabilities for a minute here. The NBA season, what is the probability that they bring it back in some form, no crowds, but just the players play, 6 weeks or so, let them play the shit out, have a playoffs. There's a lot of money on the line. The players have already been paid. And I would then extrapolate that across baseball or any other professional leagues. What do you think will happen? Are they going to just cancel it and be, hey, we'll see you next year, hopefully this shit will blow over? Or they take a few weeks, figure shit out, get some testing done? Because right now, if you can't test the players, you really can't play the games, because if fucking Rudy Gobert is out there infecting everybody because he wasn't tested, then who the hell knows who else has it? But if everybody gets tested today and they're like, dude, you're fine, maybe they play out the season. Hey, as long as everybody's cool. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a high probability this is going to take, I don't know, a couple of weeks where they're going to have to test the players. They're probably going to play with no fans. I think if it happens, there'll be no people in the arenas, but that's fine.
No, there should be no fans. The government needs to fucking ban gatherings of that sort.
I think New York State, I heard today, was there's nothing 500 or more people, no gatherings of 500 or more people. That's at this point, that's just the way it's going to have to be. But I think once they feel safe that the referees, the coaches, the players, the essential staff and whatnot are healthy and have no chance of really infecting other people, I think the leagues will start to move on. I think Mark Cuban, I heard this morning on CNBC, he was pretty confident that they were going to actually play the full season. So I think that's very possible. I think the NHL is actually in a worse situation financially, because they rely a lot more on the actual games being played and the revenue that they produce in houses, whereas opposed to the NBA is their revenue is generated on a greater percentage on the TV. So
well, that's a big reason why I think they will look to find. I understand why the NCAA canceled this shit. Those kids are working free. You know, like to put
the NCAA, I was shocked it didn't happen sooner. Well, I'm not shocked just because it's the NCAA, but you can't put those kids on planes. And we spoke about this before. We actually talked earlier today before they canceled it. My initial thought, I've been saying for the last 2 days, I mean, this is going to get canceled. There's no doubt. Then I guess there was the possibility, since they had not seeded everybody and they hadn't picked, they hadn't done the brackets yet, where they could try to put everyone in a region where they could at least bus to the games. Probably the right decision, just canceling it. They don't want to take the liability either. You're dealing with kids again. You're not dealing with professional athletes. Definitely the right call here, as much as it's going to, kind of suck. This is probably the greatest sporting event of the season, but it's obviously not about that at this point.
Yeah, it's really really tricky stuff when we consider which leagues are going to do what. But I mean, I'm looking at May Madness. It says Lasky says they just change it to May. Why do you think it's going to be better in May? Nothing's changing. So no, what we'll have is better testing, right? So like I said, I agree with you. I think the NBA players have been paid. There's a television contract that needs to get played out. And fuck, there's a lot more people sitting at home looking for something to do right now, because I believe that subway travel needs to end. I think a lot of these jobs need to allow their people to work from home. I think Google and Amazon, like a few big companies, have already started saying, guys, stay home. Like these massive companies.
I believe Amazon today, actually, Amazon did, Google. So and these are companies that, obviously in the tech world, a lot of their employees can work from home. They're not dealing with, most of what they can do is remote for a good size of their employee base.
You know which which Amazon employees don't get to work from home? The grunts at the warehouse.
That's right.
That are stacking boxes and
that's
those
correct.
People, the government needs to, like, if this was Russia, those people would be forced to go to work. Like, I don't want to go in today. No, you're going. Motherfuckers need their packages, man. You could Corona whatever you want, but people need their packages.
Well, here, listen. What we're doing is, we're spreading out the time frame, right? So if we let life go on as normal, what you're going to do is get people infected really quickly. It's going to speed up the time where this ends, but in the process, you're going to get a lot of people seriously sick and killed in doing so. So that's obviously not the most optimal way to go about it. So what they're trying to do by limiting these large groups is you spread out the time frame and how often, how much infection you're going to get hopefully you're getting in a longer time frame, and then that does not burden the medical people, because that's really the real thing that you have to worry about, is the fact, you have a situation like Italy where everyone's sick at the same time, and now you're trying to figure out, well, who you're going to save and who you're not going to save. We don't want that situation.
When you read, I've been reading nonstop. I've watched, I recommend for everybody, of course, the video I did on Monday, but you can also watch the video Joe Rogan did. Just Google or YouTube Joe Rogan Corona. He had an infectious disease specialist, a very sharp guy, and on his show. And I love Joe Rogan. He's just awesome, and his interviews are great. And this guy was great and very, 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 very credible. So what the guy was saying is, listen, this thing spreads differently and even a little bit more aggressively than the flu, and we have to be aware of that. So he even seemed to indicate that it's possible just being in a room with someone who's breathing, who's infected, could get you. Now, we don't know that for sure, and there's a lot of misinformation, just a lot of unknowns right now. So we don't know it for sure, but that definitely came up. But you can see here on the screen, I put up the flattening the curve chart. So what you said, what went on in Italy was too many people sick too fast. There are not enough hospital beds for these people. And people think we're in America, super first world, that would never happen. The United States, across all 50 states, 350 million people, 357 million people, we have under 1 million hospital beds in total across the entirety of the country. So if there was some situation where lots and lots of people are all getting sick at the same time, the care is really compromised, and not just for the people getting sick from corona, but for pretty much anybody else who wants to go to the hospital. Fuck, that's where your parents are in trouble. That's where you have to be concerned about the elderly, even more than them getting sick. Is, well, what happens if they need to go to the hospital for something, a heart attack, a stroke, any of these things that happen? The care is really, really diminished by just doctors working around the clock, nurses working around the clock. There are no beds available. By the way, as soon as you go into the fucking hospital, you're locked to get the corona because there's so much of that shit going around. So there are real life repercussions here. On the flip side, I just read an article from a lady in Seattle, one of the people who got it at that party where the corona was being spread around, the original Washington, Seattle sort of epicenter. And she was like, yeah, I didn't even know I had it. I got a little fever. I took some Advil. Not even really a cough. I felt better after a couple days, but I had gone to a doctor and they said it wasn't the flu. And then I heard the party was a corona thing, so I went and got tested. And yeah, lo and behold, they told me I had it.
Well, this is part of the problem. It's part of the good thing about it, but it's also part of the bad thing. So, and I believe it's similar. I watched the Joe Rogan. I watched that podcast as well, and like he said, if you get it and get sick instantaneous, it doesn't spread as quickly, because if you got, if it was a virus of that sort where, if I was infected and within hours I started feeling symptoms and being deathly ill, well, I can't infect anybody because now I'm stuck at home. But if I feel good and I've got it, well, I'm going to walk around for days, and I may never really, I may get a little scratchy throat and a runny nose, and I'm saying, whatever, I just have a cold and I'm out doing my business, and meanwhile I'm infecting, tens or hundreds of people, and that's how this thing spreads, and that's why this is, so highly contagious, because the incubation period is so long, and it's also when you are also contagious. So it's so that's the problem with it, where it's a good thing that maybe not a lot of people are going to be really sick, but those who potentially could get deathly ill are the reason that they're at such a high risk is because those who aren't necessarily showing symptoms could infect them. So it's it's a crazy situation.
Mick Jabalago, if you want to believe that's the cause, that's totally fine. So I want to talk about what I've done so far to prepare, and what I'm doing for my family. And part of what I've always done with just these podcasts, with DFS Army, with everything, is I just tell you what I do. I tell you what I do. I don't know what you do. I do me, right? So I'm not of the downplay the severity of the threat crowd at all. As a matter of fact, I'm quite the opposite. I like to be I like to be more prepared than the next. I feel like the average person in a disaster situation, the average person is, you don't want to be the average. You want to be exceptional with what you do. You want to prepare in advance. Like if you're running to the supermarket tomorrow to start buying shit, there's no toilet paper. It's gone. Now, who cares about toilet paper? But it's gone. You know what I mean? Like if you waited to the last second, that's never the ideal thing. So what I did so far, I've spent the last couple of weeks just kind of loading up on supplies slowly by slowly, just making sure that I have enough to hunker down if I need to for even a month or two. And that's where we're at. I fired up the second fridge, filled that shit, bought lots of cans of stuff like that I normally eat, just like I said I was doing on the last video. Bought lots of cans of shit, not stuff I don't like, and I got no sardines, but lots of shit that I like and that I would eat anyway. Lots and lots of non-perishable stuff and irregular supplies too, just because in case I don't want to go out, in case I want to hunker down and just not be around people, because social distancing is one of the ways, A, that you could prevent it from spreading, and B, again, you want to be in the second part of the wave here, all right? Because what happens here is a vaccine goes around, a cure happens, something. It's actually not terrible to be in the first wave either, because the hospitals are still not jam-packed. But where you don't want to be is right here at the peak. You don't want to be sick average time, because you go to the hospital, if you need a respirator, they might not have one. So that's what I did. I'm hunkering down. John, you doing anything?
So no, I'm not going as crazy as you. I also don't, I've got I guess the luxury of not having to care for anyone else. So I've just got myself to worry about. So
if I was rolling solo, I think I would.
Yeah, so it's a little, I've got enough for myself. I'll be fine. But
like, for example, my wife does not do well with respiratory illnesses, and I'm worried for her. Like I never think anything can happen to me, so I worry about my wife. I worry about my kids, but the kids seem okay. But I worry about the wife, and again, secondarily, I sold stocks a couple weeks ago when all of this was coming out. I didn't sell enough, but I sold off about 35% of my holdings, which was nice, and at least it's preventing me from like this damage. I also had some I was sitting in cash anyway a little bit, so between that and just having pulled out quite a bit of money recently from the stock market, what I wanted to do was, I remember from the 2008 downturn where I was like, fuck, I wish I had money. It was all invested. I wish I had money when the market was hitting 6,000, was hitting these crazy low numbers where it seemed like, okay, this is just ridiculous at this point. And I remember the capitulation day and thinking, man, I wish I had some money. Market was down like 1,000 intraday. And it was one of those days where the market capitulated. And by the end of the day, we're up 1,000. And that represents capitulation. Now, let's talk a little stock market, because you're a technical trader. You come from trading background just like me, and you also lived through the same couple of market implosions that I did, and you watched the trading happen. So I'm looking at this chart here right now. This is the Dow, and as you can see here, we've had we've had a great run, and we've had a little bit of sell-off, but this sell-off hasn't even kind of reached the previous sort of, what I would say, support level here, which would be between 17, looks like 18K, all the way down to 16K, 18.5, let's call it, down to about 16,000. So that's the level I'm looking at. What do you think of that level there? Is it too intense? I mean, that's just 2015.
Well, all right. So you're looking at charts. For one, I prefer to look at the S&P if I'm looking at an industrials, or if I'm looking at indexes. But also I like to look at the candle chart just because I want to see where the.
I do like looking at a candle. I didn't want to use my my personal finance account to show.
No, it's fine. You can do it. You can change it. What are you on, Yahoo?
Yeah.
Just change it. Just change it in the settings. In settings, you can change it to candle.
Where is the damn?
Upper right.
I never use this. Wait.
Yeah. I believe that's where it was. No. I don't know. I found it yesterday.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there are other charting software.
Oh, there it is on the upper right of the actual chart. Like if you go, see where it says interval? There it is. Line. Hit line. Right. Yeah, line. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
That looks like a chart. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm a candle chart guy. So that's so now you see a different low there. That's the December 2018 low.
Yeah, if you go to right here, December 2018.
Yeah, that's really the low that's gonna.
Okay, now
that's the next big test level. Yeah, that's the next big test level. Yeah.
So right here, 2416. The S&P is at 2480. So we're very close to that level. And what I would say is, I expect a bounce off of this, maybe as soon as tomorrow. And this is not a bad little buy spot, but this is the area I'm targeting right here. 2000 down to 1800, this range, going back to about 2015, 2016, the trading range of that time. So if this is going to be a real serious sell-off with legs, this is the leg where you want to kind of be buying. And then, of course, if it really turns into a a disaster. We might get to this area right here. Where is this? Right there. This would be 1580, about 1600. But if we got to this level, that's the previous high of the market before the previous sell-off.
Which was also a double. That was a double top there, I believe. That was the highs around the early 2000s as well. If I
could have been.
Bring my chart. We double topped there. That was just going off of memory. Yeah, that was like 2000, 2001, right before 9/11. And then we only got back to that level because the big talk then in 2008 was, and then certainly once we got into 2009, that was, I think it was the first time in the history of the market where if you held stocks for 10 years, you were at either flat or losing on the whole at that point. So we've been at a recovery since, I believe it's March of 2009, I think is when we hit the low. I was telling you earlier, and this is obviously it's going to be a little bit of bragging, but there's a ton of luck that was involved. And I was sitting, so I'll just give you a little background. I had started with a new company in September of 2007. We didn't really start trading. We didn't go live. It was a startup company. We didn't go live until 2008. I had a lot of time in 2008. We were barely doing anything at that point to really sit and do chart analysis and whatnot. And I really wish I had the email from back then. But when I looked at it, I believe I was comparing it, I want to say the early 70s, 1972, 71. It just had a lot of similarities to the look, and there was a bunch of other things. I had a huge write-up analysis of it, but I was able to figure that we were looking at like springtime of 09 for the bottom in this. And I wish I could give you a more detailed, a good analysis now but I have not been sitting in front of a computer and really breaking this down. But I will.
We need to get you in front of the Bloomberg to help us.
I gotta get. Yeah, I know. I wish I had my old Bloomberg account. I could probably go steal one from one of my guys.
One of my favorite sayings. I think it's a Warren Buffett saying, but I'm not sure. But I think it is. But I'm pretty sure it's Warren Buffett. But he would say, when everybody's greedy, be fearful. And when everybody is fearful, be greedy.
Yes.
Right?
Well, here's the thing. I know you're looking for that level. I wanted to just comment on that and comment on that with the background that I have not, I haven't dove into this nearly as deeply as I would have in the past when I was on a trading desk. And I was not trading stocks back then. I was trading. I was a currency guy, but regardless, here's the thing. If you are a long-term, this goes now for DFS, sports betting, trading. It's all, a lot of these are overlapping. They're the same type of both psychology, risk management, whatever the case may be. And like you just said, when there's fear, that's when you want to start buying, or you want to at least start getting on, getting your mindset of that way. You want to go the opposite way. Heroes run into the burning building, right? They're not the ones who run out. So to be a hero, you're going to really have to hold your nose, jump in the market. Trying to time the actual bottom, it's going to be next to impossible. I don't care who you are, the greatest trader in the world. It's why Warren Buffett does not do that sort of thing. He looks for value, and he's got a long-term goal. So again, go back to what's your strategy? Do you have a strategy? First of all, have a strategy. Am I trading for the next 5 years? Do I need this money tomorrow? Do I need this money in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years?
It's funny, when you say have a strategy, people don't understand what you mean.
Right. Well, let's go, let's kind of go into that. Like what it is.
There's a difference between, hey, let me make a quick trade, and hey, this is a company I've been wanting, or I think is a great company, and I could finally get it at a bargain price. Let me get it. And if it goes down more tomorrow, like I'll tell you, one of my strategies that I use is I never buy my full position the first purchase. I'll be like, all right, you know what? I'd like to own 500 shares of this company. I've been wanting it for a while. It's been too expensive, but now I like the price. But let me buy 100 today or 200 today. We'll see what happens in the next week or two. If it goes down, I'm not crying about it. I'm like, oh, good. Now I could buy another 200 a little bit cheaper of this stock that I wanted. And we'll talk about some individual stocks. I don't think that individual stocks are that important. I think you can it's the easiest way to do this is just to buy index funds and get in with your index fund how you want. But there certainly are better and more lucrative opportunities for people who want to jump into individual stocks, I think, and buy them on the
yes.
throttlings.
Yeah, the index, you're going to hear from, if you have a financial advisor, every financial advisor tells you the same thing: diversity, diversify. An index fund is sort of a way to diversify. It's probably easier, or no doubt easier, than trying to be a stock picker. Most of us, not even the professionals. This is when I say most of us, even guys who run hedge funds are not outperforming the stock market or the S&P on a long-term basis. It's extremely difficult to do. So if you're buying individual stocks, that's the reason that you're going to want to be diversified. But I agree with you. The easiest way to invest in the market, if for a long-term investor, is to be involved in index type of funds. But the problem that you have there, Bitcoin getting hammered there.
You see that face I just made?
Yes.
I hadn't looked at my Bitcoin account.
Yeah, no, Bitcoin's getting hammered, which I have some, which leads me to believe that this is less fundamental and more panic driven, because fundamentally you would think Bitcoin would be a place I'd want to be in times like this. That was at least the way it should be sold. Gold. Bitcoin was going to be the next gold, but that's a totally, that's a whole nother thing. I think it's just what's interesting though is this is the first big, I don't want to call it a crash just yet, but it's the first big down move here that we've seen in the market. First big tumble when Bitcoin was a thing. Because I
would have
think
expected Bitcoin to be almost a flight to safety, but clearly it's not a
thing. That's what you would have thought. Yeah, but I mean, without looking at it, I've been getting messages. Because guys my age and older were late to the Bitcoin thing, and I was one of the first guys telling people about Bitcoin, and everyone was telling me I was an idiot and I was crazy. So now I am the Bitcoin, even though I'm not a Bitcoin expert, but now everyone likes to text me when Bitcoin does anything good or bad. So I've been getting 1 million Bitcoin texts today, so I knew it was down. Which, again, yes, it is surprising when you consider the fact that is supposed to be the safe haven type of
I guess
asset.
Really, there's nothing safe about fucking Bitcoin. It's like, but
that's the cryptos are top. Yeah, no, you didn't realize it had taken a beating. Yeah,
damn it, says
cryptos are a topic for another day. But
I was gonna pay DFS Army salaries on my Bitcoin account. Now you guys are all.
I used to have people. Yeah, people used to pay me back when I first started. People would pay me in bitcoins.
Well, how happy? Wait, how happy am I that 2 days ago I funded my Bet Online account with a couple thousand of Bitcoin when it was still at 8K. Fuck, should have put it all in that account. Damn it.
Exactly.
Damn it.
But the point to strategy, again, is if you are a long-term, I think 95% of people should be long-term investors in the market, at least. Someone was mentioning in your chat earlier about maybe wanting to learn how to day trade. And obviously this is not the time to learn. This is a good time to, if you have the free time, to try to paper trade. But I certainly wouldn't be putting money at risk. The most experienced professional traders right now, these are really tough swings, and it's really tough because there's other things. And when you paper trade, you're not going to experience this. You understand because I never day traded. You're going to understand this as a day trader. Just getting your fills and whatnot, slippage, all these things are terms that you're going to learn to hate. Yeah. It's very difficult.
This kind of market for me is a day trader's dream, really, but because of the types of massive moves and how predictable if you look at my Twitter feed from like last week, I was calling market moves like 2 hours, but I'd be like, all right, and we're up today. I guarantee you this market ends down. Watch what happens. It's and there it was down. We'd be up 500, down 1,000. Those were the kind of days that were like the best when you were day trading. And I remember in the initial sell-off back in 2000 and 2001, back here during this, man, we made money all the way down. And all I was thinking was like, wow, it's amazing. people who own stocks are like getting murdered. And here I am, never made more money than when the market went from, I don't remember what it was, like 4,000 on the Nasdaq to 2 or something like that. And Michael says he got scared today and sold off $25,000 worth of stock. Listen, what's probably going to happen tomorrow, like it's not going to feel like a good sale over the next few days, because what we might see, and what I think we'll probably see tomorrow based on this chart and based on previous, look at these previous sell-offs, right? It's like it doesn't go straight down. Although there are periods where it does that. Here's a couple big moves, and then it's like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. The capitulation, there we go. But you had like these little moves. I think our move now is more like this part of the curve here of the year 2007 curve. We're more in this part of the curve than we are this area, right? We're still hanging out.
Well, see, my problem is fundamentally, I don't think this is anything close to the 2007, 2008. So I don't think the move.
We might not get there. Yeah.
So I don't think you're going to see this a similar type of chart. And again, I'm gonna if I get the time, I'll start breaking some charts apart. But I just don't. I don't think we're going to see a similar type of I don't think it's going to take as long as it did. This is going to be a shorter downswing, and I think it's going to be a shorter. When I say shorter, we're going to get to the bottom. We're going to get to the low, I think, quicker than we did in 2007, 2008.
I totally agree. But I do think the low is not. We haven't hit. I don't believe that we've hit the low yet. So here's psychologically what I think is going on, and you tell me if I'm crazy. We started selling off, but people still hadn't really truly accepted what is going on. I think last night was the kick in the ass night, because it was like they canceled NBA, the president comes on, governmental things happening, all of that, it all hit like last night. So I'm still hearing from people like, you're crazy. What are you talking about? And I'm like, dude, I've been fucking telling you this shit was going to happen. So I'm still hearing a lot of people who are kind of like, but so capitulation doesn't happen until there's like an acceptance of this is a bad thing. Now, that being said, really, what are we talking about? We're talking about an illness, a market disruption, crowded things. Restaurants are going to have some tough times. Certainly sporting events. Who knew? I mean, can you I've been thinking this shit through for weeks, and it never occurred to me like they're going to turn sports off and DFS Army was going to have tough times. But like, who else is going to be affected by that? So, the ripples are out there, but they're not long-term destructive potential calamity like we saw in 2008, where it was like, oh my God, if the financial system collapses, America as we know it could potentially, like, the fear was intense. Here it's kind of like, well, what's the worst that happened? Apple has a bad quarter or two, and then it bounces right back. What's the worst that can happen? Like, Google has a bad quarter or two. Like, these companies aren't going out of business. There are certain companies that might. Carnival Cruise Lines, Delta. You know what I mean? Like, those companies might have trouble. But for the economy as a whole, this isn't probably enough to destroy the economy. But then again, I mean, in year 2000, it was a dot-com bubble implosion. It wasn't like
that was different, but that was a stock market. That was the fact that just you had all these companies that were being that weren't making any money, that were trading at these insane levels. So different situation. 2008 was a much scarier situation. The banks. It was a global financial crisis. It wasn't just the United States. It was a global issue. The health of the banks at that time was awful. The banks are in a much better situation right now. They're much healthier right now. And I would argue that the banking financial sector, the problem is with the interest rates as low as they are, and everything's a problem. But if you start looking at sectors, who's going to be the least affected by this? I would say the financial sector. There's some good opportunities to start looking. at that sector. As you were talking, I mean, let's go over it right now. You were like, well, who would have thought sports would be affected, right? I can't think of an industry that will not be affected by this, including, I own one of the stocks I own is Clorox, which has done fairly well for obvious reasons here. And Clorox, it's been a fantastic stock for me, but even that got whacked today, right? CLX. And
that hadn't been going down. I mean, today DEAC, the DraftKings company, got smacked.
No, I mean, if they were smart, I was talking to someone today. If they were smart, they'd be offering all sorts of, try to get people who don't play NASCAR and don't play PGA, get some incentives out there, get some free play, do something to entice them, and then build these games. Put $1 million friggin' NASCAR game out there. And try to fill it.
Reason. I mean, I don't think it's like a temporary blip in DraftKings earnings. Like, what kind of dumb shit is that for a reason? But let's bring it back around, because we talk a lot of stock market stuff. We're going to have a lot of time to talk more stock market stuff. But what I wanted to convey to people is, listen, be ready to pounce. Get a few stocks that you like in your mind that you've always kind of wanted to own. If it's Apple's a great company. Make sure they're not connected to this disease in the sense that when the rest of the economy is recovering, these, like, I wouldn't buy airline stocks just yet, you know what I mean, or cruise line stocks. Like, don't go there. But companies that shouldn't be affected by this kind of thing, Netflix, Taco keeps talking about. NASCAR has a free FanDuel has a free NASCAR. Yeah, maybe. So yeah, we'll talk about more DFS stuff here momentarily, but like, get some stocks ready that you want to buy, get some buys in, ink your way in. And when you see a massive downturn day, today was horrible. I've never seen 10% down in one day is like crazy. We're going to get a bounce tomorrow most likely, but if we can get down another 10 or 15% on this market, that's when you want to start buying. You buy things at a bargain, you'll make up for the fact that your other stocks lost money, and you could actually turn this negative situation into a positive. But I don't think that real turnaround will happen until publicly there's a sense that we're over the hump of Corona and the horrors that it's going to inflict on the economy. Now let's talk DFS for a second. People want to get their DGen on. Sports gambling, DFS. What are we going to do, right? We've got, Taco's got the Netflix chalk. We've got, Taco's the chalk. Basically, Taco is now everything. PGA is going. Where's Josh? Where's DFS up north? PGA is going strong.
I sent Taco a message like a week ago, because I generally, I do a lot of my own analysis for all the sports. His NASCAR stuff is so phenomenal. If you don't play NASCAR and you're looking to get into it, I mean, I can't. And I'm not saying that as a promote. I mean, no one's asking me to say that. I do. I play some pretty high, for a decent amount of money, and have for a few years. But I feel like I've improved dramatically just reading Taco's information. So I can't stress that enough. Read his PGA stuff. Read the NASCAR stuff. It's going to help you tremendously. And in this time, if you're someone who plays the NBA or the NHL or both, or and you're not playing these the golf and the NASCAR, and you want to learn a little bit more about it, this is the time to start reading some past articles from him. Get to learn it.
You know how many fish are going to be playing NASCAR
yes.
and PGA this weekend, tomorrow, who don't have this kind of information? So, like, this level. So yeah, hell yeah, we still got shit going. We still can keep our DGen on. I'm gonna play some fucking PGA. You know what? Golfers are not a team. It's one guy. There's no reason they should cancel golf tournaments. Do you need people in the stands? No, they make their money from the television programming anyway, not from selling tickets to the stands. Mass reserve NASCAR, they're way too small. Yeah, I mean, like, fucking trucks. I'm all over. Is trucks tomorrow?
Yeah, they should be putting out big. They should be putting big prize events up there and because what are people going to do? If I'm an NBA player, I'm going to start pulling cash off the. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think I haven't looked at it that closely, but I'd be putting some big events out there and trying to fill them. And if I took a hit, I take a hit. But get the people who play these other sports. No one, I can't put my NBA money to work. I can't put my NHL money to work. Get people involved in these other sports, and then you're gonna have fans or people playing this for a long time. So this is their opportunity to turn it into a positive.
I mean, and again, for us, awesome. More fish in the pool, in the pond, more fish that don't normally play the sport, playing it, which is helpful. And even shit, I'm a fucking PGA fish. I rarely play it, but I'm playing that shit tomorrow. Hell yeah. Somebody just asked, when is Josh's notes coming out? Waiting on that. But play some showdowns, play some NBA. We have an MMA card that they're saying they're not going to cancel, so that should be fun. There's a lot of DFS to do. There's still plenty of gambling for us to do, but obviously, there are bigger things going on as well, and we have to be aware of that, and we have to sort of acknowledge that, hey, listen, before you do any of that shit, like, be aware of what's going on. And I'm going to tell everybody what I told my neighbors, what I tell my friends, and what I told everybody last time. Just be prepared. Be prepared to hunker down a little bit.
So I just got a message, by the way, from it's third hand. I've got like a VIP person over at DraftKings, and they're saying they're going to be doing huge UFC events. So keep that in mind. Okay. Smart. I mean, it literally, like, I just got a message from the guys.
Really?
So.
They're like, as long as UFC keeps going, they're like, fuck, we're gonna go nuts with.
Yeah, they're planning on some big UFC. So good for that. I'm sure you're excited about that. So
yeah, I love it, man, because I love UFC anyway. And like I said, the more fish, the more people who don't normally play a sport that get involved with it, the better that is. I think for any of us who play. Look, Taco, Trucks is going to be like 100,000th the first. 2 hours apart. Oh my God. We need Taco to stay healthy. Taco, did I hear that your wife and children are in like Hawaii or some shit? Like, are they away? Because then we get, that's pretty fucked up. But man, I hope everybody's together with their families as much as possible, because travel is not going to be easy over the next couple of weeks.
Not with your older family, though. Stay away.
Well, what you need to do with your older family, you just brought up a good topic, man. What you need to do with your older family is tell them to they're the ones who need to be the most careful.
My rhetoric to my dad and my mom and the older people in my family has been totally different than my rhetoric to, like, my brother and whatnot. Like, I'm trying to scare the shit out of them as much as possible because, my dad's out there. He's like, well, I'm playing golf and I guess that's okay. And I'm wiping down the golf cart. And I'm like, listen, it's not that important. Stay home. You have nothing to do all day other than, play golf. That's the most important thing you have going on right now. Just stay home. So, and now I've been scaring him. He's like, well, the PGA. He's like, I'm watching the PGA. They have fans. I said, this is the last day the fans are going to be at the PGA event. He's like, oh, shit. So, yeah. So scare the shit out of them. Because that's the most important right now. They're the ones at the highest risk.
Yeah. I mean, you got to. I told my father's overseas right now, and he was supposed to come home on Saturday night. They're supposed to fly home. I said, motherfucker, do not fly home. Are you crazy? Stay where you are. Don't leave. Stay exactly where you are. Like, no. You don't come home. You don't do any of that. You don't get on a plane. No. But, we need our distractions, right? So, protect your parents, your in-laws. Tell them not to come over your house. Tell them to stay the fuck home. Will DraftKings change? Yeah, that stock, that DEAC will change its name to, like, DraftKings or something. Once that... thing is complete. Parents on the fake news boat. I don't even know what the fake news boat is. I don't know what the fake news is. The fake news is what? That there is a panic? There isn't. You turn on the news, 1 second they're like, oh, banning people from China is racist. And then the next second they're like, we need to do more. We haven't done enough. I'm like, what? Which is what? I don't know what the fake news is. I really don't know. I'm like... I'm watching my own shit.
I did a pod, like the Beat the Boogie podcast, where just from a sports standpoint on how, you've got to be smart enough to kind of sift through the sports media to figure out what's actually important when you're betting DFS, whatever it is. Certainly that goes to that certainly goes to politics and whatnot as well. So like the Joe Rogan thing, there's nothing political behind that guy. So I like listening to that sort of thing. I don't watch a lot of the mainstream news anymore. I don't watch a lot of regular television. Yesterday I said let me pop it on because all the stuff was hitting last night with the NBA and whatnot. And it's about the most. I don't know how anyone watches it. It's the most sickening thing. From I don't care what side of the fence you lie or in the middle. I mean, the my English is awful. Politicizing. There's a good word there though. Politicization. Is that right? I don't even know if that's right. Whatever. This is why I don't do speaking for a living. But it's so disgusting. And I don't care who. Like, okay.
I hate it. I hate that the politicization of that it's even going on, because like, dude, can we ever come together as a people and just say, hey, let's fucking deal with this and stop like being douchebags about it? I can't stand it on any side. So I don't want to get into it here.
No, and it's just like so I don't want to watch. Not even for I don't. That's why people don't trust the information, because it's like, well, you're only going to put someone on who's saying this for this reason, and it's so hard to sift through. So you've got to kind of be smart. We lose Kev. I think we lost Kevin here. Where are you, Kev? You coming back? It's so hard to figure out, what's, even when you bring an expert on, So you've got to kind of, what you have to do. What I do is just kind of read all different media, left, right, whatever and then you kind of figure out that it's somewhere in the middle.
Joe Rogan.
Rogan's great. Yeah.
He's the only guy. I think that's the only guy I trust. Joe Rogan. And I can't even trust fucking Dave Portnoy anymore, because he put out that bullshit about how the avian flu only killed, the flu killed 57,000 people. So he's off my list. Now it's only Joe. Only Joe Rogan. That's the only one I can look at. Will I let my kids, should we let our kids have sleepover at other people's house? Then hell no. Fuck that. I canceled plans with friends for Saturday night. Like, legit, I canceled plans with friends for Saturday night. At some point, I want to give it a week or two. Just, like, let's calm down and see what the fuck is happening before, like, let's make a little distance, all right? If you have a neighbor or a close friend down the street, they're fine, you're fine, you get together. But now, like, that's your crew. Like, I don't want a million different people. I don't want some bunch of kids coming to sleep over here. I pulled my kids out of school today. I said again, the school is still not canceled. And I'm pissed about it. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck waiting for the school to... The school says until we have a kid test positive, we're not going to cancel.
I mean, you got to do what you feel is best for your family and individual. This is what I say in general. When you rely on the government or rely on anyone, you have to look at everyone in your house, starting with the person that you look at in the mirror, then the people closest to you, around you, for any situation, to improve your situation in life, to whatever it is. No one's going to help you more than you're going to help yourself. And then the people closest to you, and so on and so forth. The last person in the world that you need to worry about is the president of the United States, the Congress, whatever it is. The impact that they have on your life is so minimal compared to the impact that you have on your life. But we worry about that stuff too much.
People who wait for the government, fuck that. Do what you think is right for your family. This is my opinion. Do what you think is right for your family, and don't be shamed out of it socially by friends who say, "Well, what are you, crazy? You're pulling your kids out of school? What are you, stupid?" No, listen. Listen. That's what I feel like. That's what I want to do, right? I feel like the fucking school's going to shut down next week anyway. Why wait another 2 weeks? What are my kids going to get out of that? So, yeah. Wait. Where are you from? The Prime Minister's wife? What? Hyundai? What is this place? But is that like Canada? Prime Minister? So do what you got to do for your family, right? If you don't feel like going to, like my kid, again, there was a concert, they want to go to it. I'm like, are you crazy? No. But I want to go. No. You want to go to school? No. I'm making the decision. These are children. I'm an adult. I'm gonna make a decision, and I feel like that's the right call. With friends, you got to make your smart decisions. But like if you get together with your friends, do you need to go to a restaurant and sit there amongst a whole bunch of people in a packed place? You can if you want to, but it's not something I'm going to do.
The governments are not very nimble, and the larger all bureaucracies, as the larger they get, the less nimble they become. So, which is why you're able to make a decision on your family, whether it's right or wrong, whatever. If you think you need to be more cautious than the let's say the schools being, so be it. That's your call. But this is to the point of it's so hard for these huge bureaucracies to get moving in any of these situations, and that's why it's very hard to rely on the government when it comes to disaster situations. You need to be prepared yourself, and eventually the government catches up, but you can do for you a whole lot better and quicker than the government can do for you, which is why you have to have the local municipalities have more power. But and go on, I could go on and on. I don't understand enough about why we don't have testing and all that situation, but it's so much easier to implement these things from the local level than it ever is at a federal level. So it becomes really difficult now, and I'm not going to get into whatever mistakes the president may or may not have made, but
there's too many people. They're not coming to save you. So it's like, do the best for yourself and for your family. Look out for number one, because people who are, people who aren't looking out for themselves, like, again, what could happen here? The most likely thing that I think, so let's talk about the most likely thing that we'll be talking about 2 weeks from now, a month from now. So this can go a few different ways. First of all, it's a guarantee that more and more people are going to test positive in the next couple of weeks. 100%. There's no stopping that, right? We have barely any positive tests. So in the next few weeks, we're going to get more and more people testing positive. There's just no doubt, right? We'll also get, again, what I was talking about before, we'll get people recovering. We'll also get people dying. So lots of fucked up news is going to be coming through our screens. It's going to look bad. And that's one of the other reasons why I say I don't think the stock market thing is done yet, because we're so at the beginning of this that I just think there's more. There are more shoes to drop. There's more panic to be had before this is all through, I think. But we'll also have some positive news. Again, positive stories. People who get it, it's really light. Just recover it. No big deal. Depending on how serious the populace takes it, how serious the populace takes it, that's how quickly, it goes back to that chart we showed, where are we going to get that one, or are we going to get the gradual, kind of charting? Like most illnesses, they kind of do a gradual thing, and then they subside. It's funny, flu kind of like disappears in the summertime. We don't know if this thing will. Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it will, because Italy seems like a hot place. Is Milan hot this time of year? Maybe it's not. I think of Italy as a warm weather place, but most of the issues are happening in northern Italy.
Well, we get the flu in Florida, and it's warm as well. So it's just a matter of you're getting people in. If I have it, let's just say the flu. If I have it, I live in New York. I have it. I fly to Florida. I fly to South Beach, and just infect everybody. That's kind of how it goes. So does it mean the summertime? It's going to this. I don't think it has to do with the fact that it's the summer that they're anticipating. It's just the fact that I think for most of the experts I've heard, they're looking at anywhere between a 1 to 3 month time frame here, and that the curve, the peak in that curve that you showed is hopefully within the next couple of weeks. I mean, that's the hope right now.
Well, we'll see. Right? I don't know about that. We don't know. It's all speculation, which is why the market. Listen, during speculation, part of the market dropping is the fact that we don't know. A good chunk of the reason when you get to the market is you don't know.
indecision. People just want to take their money and hide it under their mattress when they're uncertain. Eventually, there's going to be some certainty here. When the certainty comes back into the market, that's when the market stabilizes and will more than likely start to advance. Where I differ from you is I just take the approach of especially if you can't be sitting at a computer all day and you're not an expert in the markets, is if you do have cash on the sideline, you start sprinkling cash in now. It is most definitely, I can bet a lot of money this is not the bottom, but that doesn't mean that you don't start to dabble. And 10%, if you want to take 10 cracks at the market and you're going to put a tenth, and you do it once a week for the next 10 weeks, whatever the case may be, that's what I've been doing. I've been every time I've gotten in the market here, I've done it. I've been on a once a week thing, and I'm not trying to time it. I'm just trying to cost average myself in, and I manage money for my nieces and nephew. So I'm handling like the oldest one is 8. So I mean, they're not going to need this money for at least 10 to 15 more years.
Yeah, that just want to buy.
Right. So I don't move in and out of the market. It's just strictly a buy. So when they get cash for the birthdays and the communions and the sort, that kind of sits in there. And I've just been waiting for opportunities to buy, and this is an opportunity. I've just been kind of cost averaging in here, and that would be my recommendation for the majority of people, especially if these are funds that you're looking at for the long term. If you're going to try to pick tops and bottoms, inevitably you're going to miss out on big moves. So do we know when the bottom? We don't know when the bottom is, but if you can just get yourself in a little bit at a time here, you're gonna keep. That's the hardest thing. Like, we all want to buy. We all say this. We all say, man, just like you said, you're like, man, I wish I had the cash in 2008. We all say it. Well, here you go. You have your chance again. But it always feels the same. It feels the same to me. Right? I'm a big talker here, but man, it's hard to do. And the reason is I had my last boss, probably the calmest individual, one of the better traders I've ever met, and he taught me so much just from a psychological standpoint. And this really should go into your DFS play if you're a sports bettor, DFS player. He was so calm under fire. And his saying to me all the time was, he's like, and we were talking about sports betting in this instance. He's like, if it's the most difficult trade is usually the best one. So that one that's really hard to put. We talk about this when we do the pod weekly, the Vegas Geeks line pod, and we're talking about, or whatever. You're like, do I want to play this guy? And you're like, yeah, sometimes that play that is the most difficult to make is going to be the one that's going to make you the most money.
That was Danny Baggs last week in MMA. It was.
Well, I sent you my MMA.
You did.
Yeah, I had a good week. Yeah, I had a good week in MMA with the high stakes.
I bet you did. We played my boy Danny Baggs.
Yeah.
I've got one like that for this week.
I haven't looked yet. Yeah.
I've got a max bet.
Oh, I saw your max bet. Yes, I saw your max bet.
I don't know if it will translate to a spectacular DFS. I suspect it will. I don't know if it. You never know, but similar kind of play. So let's move off topic a little bit. I want to answer Vincent's question. Updates on schools. I actually do know about this. So what the schools are saying is I guess the Board of Health is responsible for shutting down schools, and the schools themselves really can't shut themselves down. And the Board of Health is basically saying only if there's an actual confirmed case will we shut the school down for some period of time. So I will say it's always up to you to be responsible for your children. Do you want to send them into a packed environment with lots and lots of people all stuffed together with no windows, in sealed air, the way that a school is? If you're confident that it's all good and that's a cool thing to do, then do it, right? It's fine. The Mets hat, baby. You just got. I feel like you're a Yankees fan.
No, man. Are you really? Listen, I get to wear it in like March, April, and May. So just give me my 3 months, and then I put it away come June, and then I bring it back out again for March.
Once they're out of it.
That's it.
So with your kids, you got to make your own decisions. You can't allow a school board that has other priorities and other concerns and worries to make, and the teachers don't know shit. They're like, I don't fucking know. I don't. They don't want to be there either. The teachers are like, fuck, I can't believe I got to go here to this fucking teacher.
Again, you've got to take this. If you have the luxury of being able to have your kids home and you can take care of them and you don't need to put them in a daycare, which putting them in a daycare is just as worse as putting them in a school, then by all means, I mean, you make that call. The reason that especially the big schools, when you talk about New York City and the Department of Education in New York City, the big urban areas, they can't shut these schools down because of the domino effects. For one, you've got so many women, it's primarily women, who are nurses, who are healthcare workers. What are they going to do with these kids? They don't have the ability to take care of the kids without staying home themselves or putting them in a daycare, which, as we just said, is no better than having the kids in school. There's other things. Thank God right now we're seeing that it's not as dangerous to the children, to younger kids. So hopefully that doesn't change. So the risk, I believe right now, as we understand it, isn't there. But as an individual, this is the way it goes. As an individual, you have the luxury to be able to have your kids home. You can take care of them, and you can do that. So yeah, you got to but you have to understand on the larger level why they can't close the schools and why that's not as easy an option. And while they may not be doing it, where you're saying, well, they're stupid, they should cancel the schools and I'm just going to keep my kid home. There's reasons why it's difficult for them to cancel school.
I get. Listen, well, that's why essentially you have to make your own decisions, because they're not making decisions with your specific family's interests in mind. They got a million other considerations, including what you said, nurses and this and daycare, and there's also consideration of kids who don't have meals, like. If
yes.
There's like a lot of things like that, and kids aren't really getting harmed by this thing so far. So there's no evidence that young children. Remember, there's a lot of viruses out there where younger people really just don't get affected that bad.
A year ago, the little kid, there was a lot of kids dying of the flu. The young kids, a year ago, if you recall, they get hit
by the flu, but then they're fine with chickenpox and they're fine with the measles. But when you get it when you're an adult, like, it fucks you up. So, there are just each virus has its own thing. I heard somewhere before that Spanish flu oddly just affected like young adults more than
18. It was primarily hitting 18 to 25 year olds.
Was that you who would tell me that? So,
I was telling you,
yeah, that was you. So like, who the fuck knows? We don't know enough about this thing. First of all, I took pictures. People are talking about masks. I went to Mexico in February, and I was sending the DFS Army staff pictures of me and the family on the airplane in masks. Okay, in masks and gloves. Everybody's laughing at us, and I'm like, fuck this, man. I'm like, Corona is out there, and I'm fucking on this plane. And that was a month ago. It was almost like, it wasn't quite a month ago. It was like 3 weeks ago. But elderberry syrup, Max, what you want to do, the masks helps you not touch your face. So what the mask does, it's not going to prevent the airborne shit from getting in your mouth. It's just a mask there. So when your natural inclination is to keep touching your face, you end up touching the mask. That's the best thing that the mask does. And talking about elderberry, if you want to get your immune system, just take a lot of vitamin C. I know it sounds stupid, but that is the ultimate. Take a lot of vitamin C. Start taking it now. Just take it every day. Lots of vitamin C. That's the best way to boost your shit for a virus. Just to have a lot of vitamin C in your system. There's nothing else you can really do. I think B12 is another one that's good. But like vitamin C is, we're not nutritionists. I don't fucking know. But that's what I saw out there, is just like taking the vitamin C.
And again, it's not going to prevent you from getting it, though. What it's going to do is just keep. What you need to be is in as good a health as you possibly can be when you do get it.
Yeah, you want to get it and
in good health.
One of those light cases that like the lady in Seattle who's like, yeah, I didn't barely know. Like that's what you want. What you don't want to be is not that. So you want to get it and have one of those light cases. I didn't even know I had it. Oh. I'm pretty sure I had the measles a couple of years ago. Almost died from that shit. Whatever. It fucking sucked. Not 100%, but I think it might have been. Here's the deal. So let's wrap this up. We'll bring it back around to some DFS talk, because we're a DFS group, right? Let's play some PGA. Let's play some NASCAR. Let's play some MMA this weekend. Let's have some fun. Okay, let's make some money off the fish. And wait and see. I do think that these leagues are going to come back. I think they're going to come back. They're going to play some game. I think there's a decent chance that NBA will play itself out, and we'll be able to play that.
Well, how about people do this as well? Start working on your strategies and your systems for these things. Like, you're grinding on a daily basis. Go back, start looking at stuff that you've been doing. I'm big on. I always think that lineup configuration is almost, if not more important, really than actually projection. There's you could get projections out there, but configuring your lineup. Go back. If you have some ideas that you're like, oh, I really wish I could go look at. Is using center at utility or really a good play, or is not? Whatever it may be. Start doing your research now. You've got time to do some research.
Always a good time to think about strategy. To think about the strategy of DFS. Hey, Bernsey has a book out that is available for DFS Army members. If you haven't read it yet, it's the Bible on how to win the Millie Maker. Give that a read. You guys get it. Here, Alex is saying, Kanger is saying that Silver just said that they'll revisit the postponement in 30 days. So there you go. Maybe in 30 days, what's going to happen is they're going to be like, all right, we've got testing now. We've kind of got a handle on what's going on. Let's play out. Let's play out the season, or 5 games and then the playoffs, or let's start the playoffs now. And we're going to do it to empty stadiums, but we're going to have the players play the games. There's no reason why the players can't play these games. So I expect that we're going to have a month of tough times, sports-wise. Everybody's going to cancel. No one knows what's going on. No one wants to get sued. Here we go. Vitamin C, man. Josh Harris. We're going to get you on this fucking pod with us talking all this knowledge with ATP and cellular energy. I don't even know how vitamin C works. All I know is you're supposed to take it and take a lot of it. But, I think the sports leagues will turn back on. I think they'll play. I think we'll be able to play some DFS. I think we'll be able to gamble on sports. I think we'll oh, shit. Big news. Round 2, PGA Showdown on the DS. Taco, do you know if Josh has posted his notes? Because I don't do anything without Josh's notes. Oh, yeah, and Vincent said FTP. We're doing FTP tomorrow, Vin. So I needed an extra day of research. Sniper needed an extra day of research, and realistically, when it's a Friday MMA pod, it's always going to be better. That extra day is a big deal, and this week has been quite chaotic. I didn't sleep last night. I don't know. Like, you try to keep a cool face, but they canceled NBA, and I'm like, I can't sleep. Like, I had to think of what we're going to do, what we're doing with DFS Army, what we're going to do for the members to take care of you guys, what we're going to do to keep everybody together during a tough time. So that was a lot, man. I didn't sleep last night, so I need an extra day to do my MMA stuff.
I'm going to be putting out some PGA Round 2 matchups tonight for the boys over at the Sportsbook Army. So we're getting that going.
Share that shit in my channel on DFSA as well, please.
Yep.
So we're going to get a little bonus from statsational, little PGA betting analysis and discussion. We'll get it all going. So I'm going to end it here. We're over an hour in, John. Thanks for coming on this. We'll do more of these. I like the live streams are crazy, man. You don't know where you're going to go with these things. But
give me more than like a 10-minute heads up, and I'll be able to shower and have my hair looking nicer.
Is that why you're wearing the hat?
I wore the hat all day today. I got to wear it, man. My hair gets terrible.
A headache. Yeah. I would never put a hat on.
Yeah, but
literally, if I was you, I would never wear a hat.
I was out.
Walk around.
I know.
Just fucking.
Listen, it's the whole reason the hat's on, because I didn't have time to prep, man.
I was like, "What's going on over there?" Would never wear a hat if I was you. All right, that's it, guys. We're gonna shut it down here. We'll do more of these tomorrow night. It's the DFS Army. Fuck the public. MMA. Live stream, similar time, around 9 o'clock. We will say fuck the... John, you got to get in the live stream feed, throw some comments up.
I don't have the... Oh, I got to log in via YouTube.
When we're on, just jump onto YouTube and...
That's what I'm saying. I got to log in on YouTube so I could yell at Max and tell him. I actually live right down the road from the Phillies spring training, so I see them every day.
You see those guys? Nice.
I had a fuck the Phillies, the old PHUCK shirt when I was like 12. So I have not changed my opinion on the Phillies.
No, the FanDuel final is canceled. The DraftKings Live finals are all canceled. Everything's canceled. The sports betting championships are canceled. Lucky for me, I spent thousands chasing that fucking qualifier. I never won it, and now it was canceled anyway. Son of a bitches. But it is what it is. But all those live finals have been canceled. Don't expect that any sort of non-necessary gatherings are going to happen in the next few weeks. It's not going to happen. But John, I do have to get you a DFS Army hat. What the fuck? You don't have a DFS Army?
I don't, man.
We need to get you a sports bet Army hat. We got to create.
We've got the cool that sports bet Army. I mean, the DFS Army logo is cool, and it's kind of a
the sports bet Army one is badass.
The sports bet Army is pretty badass.
We got to get.
I like it.
Sports bet Army swag going.
Yeah.
We got to get that going. Again, let's end it here, guys. Good stuff. I don't want to keep people for too long. We're losing our steam, so we'll be back.
Yeah, we'll do it next week when we're all on mandatory quarantine. So.
Yeah, under mandatory quarantine. We're back next week to talk Corona again. And remember, again, tomorrow night, I will be doing the MMA Breakdown podcast, DraftKings MMA. For those of you who have not seen it, this is a great opportunity because, hey, this is all the fucking DFS we're going to have. We got some PGA going. We'll get MMA tomorrow. Me, Marley, Sniper together, live stream. We'll break down the card. I've got an all-in play already in my back pocket for that one. It's going to be a special card. So everybody have a great night. I will never say no to Be Next. I don't know. It chokes me. These shirts, it chokes me. I don't like it. I like a V-neck. I like to breathe. Alex wants Benson to either just go or go to sleep. Something. So, Alex Kangas, by the way, me and him hung out at the last live final. Now the shit's canceled. No more. We're not hanging. And even if there was a live final, you're going to fly to New Jersey again from Minnesota or Michigan or Wisconsin. I never can tell. It's one of those three northern Midwestern states. So anyway, that's it. John, thanks for jumping on. Everybody, we'll see you tomorrow for the FTP, Fuck the Public, MMA Breakdown podcast. Make sure you play some PGA, DFS, and of course, trucks, Xfinity. We got so much DFS happening this weekend. I probably shouldn't have had everybody pause their account. So I don't know. I think I fucked up. But whatever. We got it going. Take care, everybody. Take care, John.
Night, boys.